welcome to Peter Rabbit's Making Up video. First step, you're going to join the inner ears. So working on one inner ear at a time, you're going to place it right sides together, match both the cast off edges and the back stitch to join the cast off edges and the diagonal row ends that run from the cast off edge to the ear peak. So that's that straight line and that diagonal line joined together. You've sewn them together, you're going to turn it through at the base. So carefully turn through to the right side and then pull all those yarn endings out from the ear. And now you're going to join the very base of the ear, so you're going to fold the ear in half like this, and you're going to join from those two markers kind of about 4 rows up, so you're kind of enclosing the inner ear into like a little sort of pocket, like so. For the next step, you're going to join the nose seam, so find the cast on edge from the very beginning of the pattern, fold it with the right sides together and join along those two halves with backstitch. Turn out to the right side and there's your nose seam. So the next seam to join is the jaw seam. Working on one side of the head at a time, you're going to find the neck marker and match it with the head back marker, and then you're going to mattress stitch, joining that seam along those row ends from those markers up to that ear marker there. Okay, the next step is joining the front to the back. So again, with wrong sides together, working on one side of the rabbit at a time, you're going to match the front to the shoulder marker with the shoulder marker, and then you're going to match the neck marker with the front to neck marker. You're going to ease together and you're going to mattress stitch to join the row ends to the cast off edge in between those two sets of markers for your shoulder seam. It's a little bit of easing here, but it's not, and you can pin it if you like, but it's such a short seam that you might find you can sew it quite easily. Okay, the next bit is joining the rest of the sort of side of the body. So I would recommend pinning here, and what I like to do is I like to pin it halfway down, and then I like to start the seam sort of halfway along. So do one half and then do the other half. So maybe start at the top of the thigh and work up to the shoulder like I did, and then the second half of the seam work from the thigh down to the tail. That way you can get quite an even seam, and if you do that to the other side as well, then it becomes quite symmetrical. Otherwise you might end up with a little bit of a lopsided sort of front to back. This bit is me just working sort of on the second half that I mentioned. So I'm going from the top of the thigh and I'm working mattress stitch all the way down, joining the belly to the lower part of the back, all the way down towards the tail end. Easing together so that it fits quite nicely and snug. So when you've completed both sides, go back up to the face, and now you're going to join that sort of seam which becomes the chin, and you're going to find the centre of the chin point I've called it in the pattern, and you're going to match that chin point to the bottom of the nose seam. I'm going to put a little pin in it so you know what I'm referring to here. So that's the chin point, and that's going to match the bottom of this chin, the nose seam here. So match there to there, and then join from there with mattress stitch that sort of last part of the face. Now before you do the second side, you need to put the eyes in. If you look, you can kind of work out where to put the eyes. It's kind of right in the centre of the side of the face, to be honest. Push them in and then push on backwards to make them nice and secure. Make sure you're happy with the placement before you do this, because once they're on, they don't come off basically. There we go. Really push it on firmly. If they're too easy to push on, then they're not very safe eyes, but I don't really have a preference between plastic and metal, to be honest with you. They're just as good as each other. And then work in the stuffing. And take your time with this, because it's really important to get that stuffing into all those shapings that you've created, the short rows, like that belly, and that back shaping in the thighs, top of the thighs, around the shoulders and the breast, and into the top of the head. Now, but you will not put stuffing into the sort of chin area. You want that to be quite sort of baggy, saggy, which you'll see when I finish mine. I often get asked which type of stuffing I use. Recently I've really got into using this stuffing that you can see here, which is called uncarded stuffing. So I just put uncarded stuffing into the search engine. I usually find it either from eBay or some sort of teddy bear making sites. So uncarded, or Polyflock is another name. And then when you're totally happy with all of your stuffing and sculpting, then you can sew that second sort of chin seam. Just draw attention to, if you look at the chin, because it's not stuffed at all, it's quite flat, there's no stuffing in there, there's stuffing in the top of the head but not the chin, so I can push up with my thumb and kind of make a dint in the bottom of the chin. So now it's time for the face squish. With your threaded up yarn, you're going to pass the needle through one side of the head at the front of the eye to emerge at the other side of the head, the front of the other eye. Pull the needle through, but don't pull the thread through fully. Hold on to that loop with your finger and then pass the thread back through to the first side again. And then pass the point of the needle through that loop, like so. pull the loop down onto the knitting and then pass the needle through again, then back in to where you started and pull to squish. Now what I like to do, and I only recently started doing this, I also like to do a little squish at the back as well. So I'm going to take the needle now to the back of the eye and pass it through to the back of the other eye, then back through and then squish that as well. That gives you an even squish, if you like. The next stage is to join the forelegs. Sew the forelegs along the seam, which will be the bottom of the foreleg, sort of the under foreleg, and stuff the foreleg as you're doing so, and the same with the hind leg feet. So you make them up first and then you join them to the body. So make sure that seam that runs at the bottom of the foreleg follows the seam that runs down the side of the body. Position it in place, kind of make them sort of symmetrical either side, and just simply join around that cast on edge onto the half onto the back and half onto the belly, or the breast rather. All the way around, joining quite securely so we don't unravel and come up. There we go. And then similarly work the little hind feet. So that seam at the bottom of the foot along the sole, the centre of the sole, and then cast on edge, it's joined around onto the back, onto that seam which is the sort of hind leg seam near the tail. And again, just sew all the way around, joining it to that bottom half of the body. It's stuffed quite well, as you can see, so they're fairly firm. There we are, just join that last few stitches as securely as you can. So now we're going to create the face, just a few little lines across the sort of tip of the nose and of the mouth. And for the little bobtail, pop that tail up on towards the back and hold in place with a few little stitches. To complete the bunny, just work a few little black lines for the claws over the foreleg paws and also for the hind feet paws. And that's basically it. The next step I'm going to show you is how to just join together the little coat. The coat is quite straightforward really. I'm going to show you how to sew in that's the pockets by the way, to sew the lining down, and I'll show you how to sew in the sleeves. So with the sleeve you join along the row ends which become the bottom of the sleeve seam, and then you simply take your sewn sleeve at the widest edge. We're going to join the wide bit into the armhole. So find the top of the sleeve head, match it with the marker, insert the sleeve into the hole, and then on the wrong side you're going to join back stitch all the way around as neatly as you can. Then just simply sew on little beads or buttons to match with the little buttonhole holes, and then put it onto your little Peter Rabbit, and hey, it's all finished.